Okay, welcome everybody. I am Jacqueline Shaw and I'm here to talk to you today about karma. And first off, I just want to say that karma is a very extensive topic. A lot of people think a lot of different things about karma. There's a lot of different things that different philosophies and religions have to say about karma, what the rules are of karma, what it actually means to have a karmic cycle. So because there's so many different dispositions about this, we're going to first look at what they have to say, and then of course we always check in with ourselves and we see if what we agree with, and I like to say, there's a lot of politics in religions, there's a lot of politics in philosophies, there's a lot of control techniques in all of this, but when we really want to pursue our spiritual path, what we do is we take suggestions and we decide for ourselves. So I'm just going to give you some ideas, and of course we can explore it together if you want. Okay, so what is karma? So basically all of the religions believe and accept that the definition of karma means action. So it's a work or a deed. So whenever somebody says karma, it's basically what that person is doing, okay? And it's also tied to the law of cause and effect. So whenever someone is behaving a certain way, it's assumed that there's an intention behind why that person's acting that way. And so later on, there's an effect to that person's behavior, okay? And so we see that every action has a reaction in the world, in this world. And so this philosophy is also tied to the idea of rebirth. And there's many schools that agree with the idea of rebirth. There's Indian religions, and we're going to go through a couple of them, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, as well as Taoism. We'll also talk about a current Chinese philosophy as well that takes karma into account just a little bit. And in these schools, karma in the present affects one's future in the current life as well. So we're not just kind of here to suffer because of our past lives, we're also creating karma with this life. And I also want to just add that karma is not always thought of as suffering or as bad. It's also thought of as good deeds as well. So karma means action, work, or deed. It also refers to spiritual principle of cause and effect, like I said. And this idea originated in India, and people often refer to it as the law of karma, as if it is as practical and it works out just as much as gravity, the law of gravity. It's almost like a science to many people, that they really do believe that there's a governing principle like karma. So the law of karma operates independently of any deity. So basically is its own law unto itself. So if you're praying to the goddess or you're praying to Buddha or whoever it is, it doesn't matter whose favor you gain when you pray to this being. Karma will work independently of that being that you that you are praising. A common theme to theories of karma is also causality. So karma is a very practical rule, and it's a basics of ethics. And as we think about ethics and how it's developed in our world, we often think about karma, because karma is basically like the first prong of bricks in the building of ethics. So let's look at it. If you look in the Upanishads, and that's an Indian in Hinduism, we'll read a little bit of an excerpt, and it is, now as one is like this or like that, according as one acts and according as one behaves, so will one be. One of good acts will become good, one of bad acts bad. One becomes pure by pure deeds, bad by bad deeds. And here they say that a person consists of desires, and as is one desire, so is one's will, and as is one's will, so is one's deed. And whatever deed one does, that one will reap. And this is a common theme in many philosophies and religions, that what you sow is what you reap. And when we think about good and bad, what exactly is that? What does an intention that is good, how does that differ from an intention that is bad? Does it seek to do harm to others? Does it seek to do harm to the self? And we're going to look at the dynamics of that as well. The effect of karma might not be immediate. The effect of karma can be later in one's current life, and sometimes people believe, in certain schools believe, that it's going to extend into future lives. All right, I'm going to just move myself around so I can see. Okay, so in Hinduism, the consequence or the effects of one's karma can be described in two forms, phallus and samskaras. A phalla, literally the fruit or results, is a visible or invisible effect that is typically immediate or within the current life. In contrast, samskaras are invisible effects produced inside the, and they say after a lot, but just means inside the person. It's as if the world is a stage because of the karma, transforming the agent and affecting his or her capability to be happy or unhappy in this life and in future lives. So we see that it could have an immediate effect, or it could be saved for later. And so another thing that I think is very important when we look at this is what determines how fast someone's karma will happen. I can say my mother, a lot of people would say she's witchy, but my mother had this connection with my sister, and whenever my sister would curse my mom under her breath, she would fall down the stairs. It's always immediate. And we always laughed at that. I mean, she would laugh too, because she was like, how does she know? Or, you know, what is that? And it's wild that sometimes things happen just instantaneously. Someone cuts you off and then all of a sudden they get cut off. You know, there's a loss. Sometimes it's quickened and sometimes it's prolonged. So what determines that? Some people might say, and some schools of thought believe, that the older the soul, the quicker the karma. And as if they know the lessons. It doesn't have to take its time to reveal itself, these lessons, to an older soul. The idea of karma may be compared to the notion of a person's character, as both are an assessment of the person and determined by the person's habitual thinking and acting. All right, so when you have a lot of patterns coming at you of good karma, this will be instilled, and people around you may think that you are a good person because good luck, good things are happening to you. If you're a person of bad karma, the society will naturally not look upon you in a good way. They may think you have bad character. Now, is this always justified? No. What if the person's good in this lifetime? They're just paying up for the things that happened in their last lifetime. Or what if karma isn't an individual aspect, but it's a collective aspect? And that's another thing we'll be looking at as well. Karma is not itself reward and punishment, but the law that produces the consequences. So, like I said, karma is not always bad. If you do bad things, it doesn't mean you're always, it doesn't mean like that you're always going to be bombarded with bad karma. There's also social karma. There's many layers to it. But there is a bigger law that's governing all of these activities. And if you see certain patterns in your life and it doesn't happen to anybody else, it just happens to you, it could be karmic. A karma theory considers that not only the action, but also one's intentions, attitudes, and desires before and during the action. So big part of the Buddhist perception of karma is that desire keeps us coming back. Desire keeps us coming back to the world. We have a desire, we come back to the world, we try to pursue our desire. And in Buddhism, desire is not that great because it keeps you in the world, it keeps you in karma. But because karma is an aspect of desire, it feeds desire, and the more you want, the more you desire, you'll run into circumstances where you have to make decisions to obtain your goals, and sometimes you'll be stepping on other people's feet. And as you do this, you're going to stay here longer and then fulfill more desires, and it's pretty infinite, right, when you think about it. So the karma concept thus encourages each person to seek and live a moral life, as well as avoid an immoral life. The meaning and significance of karma is thus, like I said, a building block of ethical theory. So Hinduism sees karma differently, depending on how much weight they put on the ideas of the existence of a god or goddess. rebirth, or whether or not evil is the product of society or the individual's own men. And the way that it does so differently is it sees it as if it is a bit of a punishment. It's not necessarily a social karma. Okay, it sees it differently as Buddhism. Buddhism thinks that we're all in it because we all have desires. But, oops, yeah, oops. Okay, here I am. So yeah, with Hinduism, it's more of an individual basis, and it's tied into a social structure. You're punished through the social structure on an individual basis. But with Buddhism,